welcome to the show, Time with the Gardener. My name is Dr. Kwekuche Aka, and this show is always brought to you on Sundays at 3 p.m. GMT, that is Ghana time, and we normally screen it live on the Facebook page, Home Gardening Ghana Facebook page. But this time around, we decided to move it to our YouTube page. And basically, on our Facebook page, we have more than 300,000 members, gardeners. And so what we do is that the challenges that gardeners face and then share on the platform, we compile them and we address them live. And so people can always be updated with correct information to grow their crops. And then again, we always try to pick a particular topic and discuss it so that gardeners can also be informed and then also make decisions in their gardening journey. My name is Dr. Frank Kwekuche Aka. I am the gardener. I am the founder of Home Gardening Ghana, and then also I am the CEO of Garden for All, which is a non-profit organization. And so this aim is to ensure that every home has access to safe food. We help build community gardens. We help people build their home gardens. We support them in any way possible through seed donation and extension services. We always also help schools and organization churches that want to go into gardening or farming. And so we are always open for collaborations. Anyone who wants to partner with Garden for All is welcomed. Today, I want to talk about one important topic. As you can see, I am in the garden and working in the garden. That is why you can see sweat all over my body. But that is the satisfaction that you get when working in the garden. A lot of people didn't know that some crops could do very well in Africa. And I will talk about Ghana. And so when you visit the Western countries, you see a lot of crops that are being grown there. But we also have a lot of people that didn't know some of the crops that are being grown there could actually do very well in our countries. And so it's very important that we talk about them so that those of you who are moving down to the developing world or to our Ghana can comfortably grow these crops in your garden. And then those of you who are also lovers of these particular crops, you can also grow them in your garden without any problem. Yeah, so mostly people like, yes, we all like fruits. And so there are a lot of fruits that can do very well. And so in Ghana, traditionally you find the mangoes, you find papaya, you find avocado, you find guava, you find other crops. But people didn't even know that apple could do well in Ghana. Yes, some people have experimented it and then it did very well. So we have different varieties of apple, but some varieties of apples, I don't know about all, but at least with evidence, as an advocate who travel a lot to people's garden, some people are comfortably growing some varieties of apple in their home garden. And so you can also try it. You can try and then it will work for you. Just try and then you can reach out to those people who are comfortably growing apple, some varieties of apple in Ghana. Again, there's one other plant that I myself have planted. and it does very well, and that opens out a door for potential investment. And that particular plant is grape. Grape is a very important plant with huge investment when you travel to the Western countries. When you travel outside in the US, you have huge plantations, multi-million dollar investment. In Africa, people think it is only South Africa and then Kenya that you can comfortably grow grapes. But I didn't know that grapes could do well in Ghana. I didn't know myself until I saw colleagues showing pictures of grapes on our platform. And so I got myself some of the planting materials, and then I planted them in my backyard. And then interestingly, I harvested grapes. So grapes can actually do very well in Ghana. At least I've seen a lot of varieties. If not, I've seen about 5 different varieties of grapes that people are growing. The table grapes, the grape for wine, and other. I have 2 different varieties, and then there's one other that I'm going to come to add, and they do very well. They do very well. So those of you who thought grapes are only production of grapes are only limited to the Western country, please, you may be wrong. They are actually doing very well in Ghana as well. And that also opens up the potential for investment. I know of one organization that is planning of investing into grape production and even establishing a winery in Ghana. And so those who are also interested, you can actually come in and then also invest into grape production in Ghana. It is actually working. It does very well. I harvest grapes in my backyard. Maybe in the other video, I'll also show you the grapes that I have. And so I'll also be doing a lot of field visits. So whenever I visit people, so when they are grapes, and then I'll also show you. But in terms of commercial production, that is where we have not actually gone into. But I think there was a time I saw somebody trying to go into production, but I haven't actually visited to see what is happening. But I can confidently tell you that grapes does very well in Ghana. So you can grow them in your garden and then harvest your grapes. Another plant that is also exotic but can also do very well in Ghana and also opens up potential for investment is fig. Fig is, and most of you, those of you who are Christians like myself, in the Bible, you've heard of the fig tree that Jesus cursed. And so when you read some of these stories in the Bible, you may think that this plant is far from us, far away from us, and cannot do very well in Ghana. I had the opportunity to get the cuttings of grape for fig. I planted them in my garden, and it is so amazing that all year round I harvest fruit from the tree that I planted. I also got some of the cuttings from a Chinese friend, another variety I planted also in my garden, and it is also doing very well. So at least I have 2 different varieties of fig. So fig is also another plant that is also, and it's so good. So it's you visit some of the malls and it is imported. So it is an investment opportunity for home gardeners. You can at least grow some number of trees if you have space in your garden and then maintain them, because fig you have a lot of fruits and then you can be harvesting. So if you who thought fig couldn't do well in Ghana. You're actually wrong. Fig can do very well in Ghana. So try getting the cuttings. It's not difficult to propagate fig. You just need the cuttings, and then you don't need so much skills to be able to grow the grape. You just need the cuttings, and then you put it in a soil, and then you water regularly. It will germinate. And so try doing that. And so now I've told you about the fig plant. I've told you about the grape, which are very important fruit trees that can actually do very, very, very well in Ghana. Yeah, so there are other herbs that a lot of people didn't know could do very well. One is the rosemary. Rosemary is a very important plant used as spice. The same with the oregano. Oregano can do very well. We have Lipia alba. The Lipia alba is also an exotic plant, mostly found in the Americans and then the Caribbeans, but it does very well in Ghana. I have them, I grew them in my garden. Thyme also does very well in Ghana. We have the basil. The basil, we have different types of basil. We have different types. We also have local types, indigenous types in Ghana. But most of the exotic one are also doing very well. The lemon basil, and they are all doing very well. Doing very well. I have a collection of these particular spices that you can actually consider in growing in your garden. So when it comes to the spices, like for example, the dill is also another spice that people didn't know. And we also have the what is it, curry, the curry plant. The curry plant is not an indigenous plant, but it can also do very well. I grow the curry plant in my garden. So these particular plants, a lot of plants that people didn't know could do well can actually do very well. And so we can actually consider growing these plants. These are very, very, very important. And so we should not only think about the crops that we have seen growing here. Let's try to experiment. I was in the US, I brought in some seeds, and I tried these seeds, and they did very well. They did very well. I was able to harvest from all the plants that I planted in my garden. And so we can always experiment and try to grow different crops, especially from other countries. But we have to be careful not to bring in any disease plant so that we spread the diseases. So we have to use the right approach, get them in, and then try them, get the necessary quarantine certificates, and then try them, and they can do very well. And these plants can be commercialized, and it can also help us to get extra income and also get other products from whatever we are growing. And so it's Jedzu. Yes, I have not tried the pierogies. I think I have to check from some of my colleagues on the page, some of the members on the Facebook page. We have a lot of people trying different varieties. But what I'll do is that I'll try and visit some of the colleagues that are growing most of the exotic plants, and then share the video on the platform so that you people can actually witness for yourself that these plants can actually do very, very, very well. It is surprising that most of the varieties, although we may have some indigenous variety, but exotic varieties that we bring in are also doing very well. Very well. So let's not limit ourselves to whatever we grow, and not think that some plants can't do well, though they are not tropical. But we find ourselves in the tropical regions, but there are some plants that are in the from the temperate regions that can actually do very well. we are in an era of climate change. And so the plants are also adapting to the changing environment. And so we can easily experiment it. So I have talked to you about some of the fruits, some of the spices that can also do very well. And then we also have some of the vegetable, the asparagus, and then all these are doing very well. We also have the Chinese cabbage. Recently, somebody gave me the water lettuce. We call it the Chinese lettuce. I planted it, is doing very well in my garden. And so a lot of the plants that are foreign, the kale is also now being accepted. It is now widely being grown in Ghana. Kale is doing very well in Ghana. All the varieties of cabbage are being brought in and they are doing very well. The okra varieties, recently I brought in the purple okra. It did very well, and even within a short time, it started fruiting. And so, if you are relocating to Ghana, don't think that your favorite vegetable or your favorite fruit or your favorite herb, you may not be able to grow it. You can actually grow them. They are doing very well. So just bring them along and then experiment, and it will work for you. Well, sometimes it needs patience. When it comes to the herbs, if you are not used to growing them, it takes patience for them to germinate. If you are using the seeds, it takes patience. And then you have to give it extra care. But once they get established, they will do very, very, very well. Well, there's another plant that I have here. This is moringa. Moringa is also a very important plant that a lot of people didn't know it can also do very well. It does very well. So you can also consider growing moringa in your garden. And so we also have the Malabar spinach. The Malabar spinach is also another plant that is also doing very well. You can also grow it in your garden as well. So today I didn't want to waste much of your time. I just wanted you to get exposed to the reality on the ground that you can actually grow a variety of crops that people didn't think could do well in Ghana. And so you can still share in the comment section any comment, or if you want to ask any question, I'll still answer. And then also try to give any advice where necessary. And so on that note, join me every Sunday, same time, as I bring to you very important topics, and then also take a trip to the garden and then also show you some of the things that we are doing in our garden and also advise you how you can do them. My name is Dr. Frank Kucheaka, and then I am the gardener. Thank you very much for being with me today. Bye-bye for now. If you have any question, just kindly type it in the comment section, and then I'll try and then reach out to you and answer. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now. Okay, so I would want to also read some of the comments. Yes, Kwasia Hiapo, thank you so much for joining me today. We have Marvin. Marvin, hi. Marvin said hi. And then hi to you too, Marvin.